yo, when they were all in their hotel room, y'all, they showed us way too much. Okay, we did not need to see none of that. Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Surprise, I'm back, y'all. It's been a minute, y'all. Shout out to everybody who has reached out to me through DMs on Instagram, emails, things like that. It's just so many that I couldn't respond to everybody, but I really appreciate everybody that has sent their prayers and well wishes and things like that. For those who don't know, I am a caregiver for my grandmother, and she just needed my entire undivided attention for the past few months, you guys. But she's doing better and better every day. Just keep her and my family in your prayers. I appreciate all of the love, okay? But I'm back, and I'm gonna try to be a little bit more consistent. I don't have the same amount of time I had before, but I miss making these videos and talking to y'all about Married at First Sight. So let me tell you, I've been watching the show, and I didn't plan on reviewing it, but y'all, it's just too good this season. Like, well, let me just say, it's so bad that it's good. Like, I just miss talking to y'all about it. This is like something I've been doing for the past few years, and it kind of feels weird not doing it, because the whole reason why I started reviewing Married at First Sight was because I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. And so I miss talking to y'all, because y'all always have the funniest takes, and I love to hear different perspectives and things like that. So here I am. On this review, I'm going to be talking about episodes 1 through 4, which were the weddings and a little bit of the honeymoon. I didn't see much chemistry at the altar from anyone. It was very much awkward, and a lot of times I wasn't getting anything. So this is not gonna be my typical review, because I'm just gonna be summarizing pretty much everything and giving y'all my opinion. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with Ben and Morgan, because they didn't get the full experience like everybody else did because of C-19. We're gonna get to that. First, we're gonna start with Morgan. She's very headstrong and independent. Girl, she ain't gonna let you forget that she loved Muay Thai, child. She ain't let you, me, or Ben forget that she loves Muay Thai. We get it. We get it. I feel like she has a lot of insecurities. Girl, we get it. You're independent, okay? You don't have to scream it every 2 seconds, because it makes us feel like you're not, or you're not secure with being independent. Like you're still trying to, you know, stand in it or something. It's like, stop. She's hardcore. She's so hardcore, she kicked her friend's tooth out. Anyway, then we move on to Ben. Ben is a mama's boy, and that worries me, because he said that not only does he love his mama so much, but he compares all women to her. And then on top of that, he has the nerve to be cheap. He's so cheap that he eats a peanut butter sandwich and a banana for lunch every single day. That's what his friend said. And he said that he hasn't had the best luck with women. And I'm just like, Ben, I wonder why. I wonder why you have 2 of the biggest turn-offs for women. We hate that, okay? You need to tune down the mama's boy thing. And I'm not saying don't be frugal, but a cheapskate, nobody likes a cheapskate. You know what I'm saying? Like, we like to splurge every now and then. So then we get to the wedding. We all know that the wedding was postponed because of C-19. Ben, he contracted C-19. But what I didn't like about that situation is when Morgan found out, she wasn't necessarily concerned about the health of her future husband, but she immediately jumped to the conclusion that he might be lying because he had cold feet. Like, you kind of jumped out the window with that conclusion, and it just makes me wonder, do you still have like some past trauma from exes or maybe daddy issues? Because I don't believe she has a relationship with her dad. Like, something was off to me about that, because she didn't show an ounce of concern for whether Ben was all right or not, which she didn't know was Ben, but that's your future husband. Now, I ain't gonna lie, if I was on this show and my future husband caused C-19, I probably would have took that as a sign that I shouldn't be doing this, okay? But outside of that, I just didn't understand why she was just so like quick to jump to that conclusion. Before they even walked down the aisle, Ben said that he's willing to take her on a honeymoon wherever she wants to go because of what happened. We'll see if that actually happens. Ben, we know you cheap. Now, where she want to go to Dubai? Are you gonna take her to Dubai? I don't know. So also before the wedding, we saw his mom, and we saw how he, you know, related to his mom, and she seems like a nice enough lady, but he said something that bothered me. He was like, if there's anything you don't like about my wife, just tell me and we'll talk about it later. And it's like, man, don't have your mama all up and through this relationship. Do not run every decision you make by your mom, please. Oh my goodness, you are 30 years old. Please, like, you are supposed to leave and cleave to your wife. Like, I would be so over it if my husband, every decision that we made had to be ran by the mama and she was all up and through, feeling like she had some say in our marriage. Like, that would bother me so bad. So then, you know, Miss Independent herself, she walked herself down the aisle. You know, they seem to have a little bit of attraction, y'all. I just didn't, like I said in the beginning, I didn't really see much chemistry with any of these couples. All the laughing and grinning and joking, it just seemed a little forced to me. By the time we got to their wedding, I was kind of like, ugh, so tired of all these 2-hour episodes. So maybe it was that. We'll give them another chance next episode. Let's move on to Miguel and Lindy. So Lindy grew up a strict 7-day Adventist. I'm assuming that they are very strict on secular activities. So she's had very limited experiences, and she's never danced. She's never been to a prom or anything like that, and she will never let you forget it, child. And I just believe that you should have done a little bit more work on yourself when it comes to your past experiences before you decided to get married to somebody. You know, at least dance. Like, if you wanted to dance so bad and you couldn't dance as a child, why haven't you danced yet? Why is your first dance at your wedding? Then we meet Miguel. Miguel is like a gamer, nerd type of person. Like, he does Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I'm sure he would go to cosplay conventions, because when we saw him, like, he was dressed up like a bear. And his friends were. Nothing wrong with that if that's your thing, you know what I'm saying? What I'm more concerned about is his friends said that he tries to force relationships and he consistently overlooks red flags. And, you know, that's a red flag in itself. Like, you can't force no relationship that ain't supposed to work. Now, then we get to the wedding. Miguel is, like, I felt like it was night and day, because Miguel, before the wedding and after the wedding, like, it was a transformation, child. It looked like it went from Steve Urkel to Stefan Urkel. Because I was like, is that Miguel? That was a nice little haircut. And it made the difference, baby. I even overlooked that suit. Like, he looked good. Okay? I would have not been mad if I would have saw Miguel at the end of that aisle, okay? When she walked down the aisle, they both lit up. They were both happy with what they saw. Now, I will say they did have chemistry. I feel like they had chemistry. Like, the more that wedding ceremony went on, their chemistry built and built. I did see that between them. Both of them are doctors. He was a neuroscientist, and now he's a pharmaceutical rep, and she is a physical therapist. So they were both impressed with that. So after they had a great ceremony, they met with each other's family. She met with his sister and found out that he grew up without parents. But the sister said that he's well adjusted to have went through what they went through. And Lindy said something that really bothered me. She was like, either we're going to trauma bond or the trauma will destroy us. And it's like, girl, trauma bonding is not the goal, honey. Y'all should not be trying to trauma bond. I'm just going to go ahead and include, you know, the conversation that she had with the sister the next day as well. Her sister was bringing up zodiac signs in a very serious way, talking about how they are not aligned, and would seriously ask, well, what do you think about that? Girl, unless you're into that, why would I care? And then she asked Lindy what she brought to the table financially. And, you know, Lindy, like most of us millennials, has student loans. I mean, I feel like that's not out of the ordinary. But Lindy is the type of person that says she's not gonna work herself to death to pay them off. Like, girl, as long as she paying on time, what's it to you? I understand the concern, and I get you don't want your brother to have to carry that burden, but she's a whole doctor. I mean, they really acting like she just broke. Like, I didn't understand that. So let's move on to Lindy's family now. This is something that you could complain about, because her brother's something else. When Miguel first sits down with her family, like, her brother straight out the gate, do you believe in a higher power? Okay, because like I mentioned before, they're 7-day Adventists. Miguel was respectful about his position, but he was very honest. And, you know, basically he doesn't believe in God, but he said it in a very respectful way. He didn't disrespect the brother's beliefs, but he just told the truth. You want him to lie? And honestly, at the end of the day, it seems like Lindy feels the same way Miguel does. It ain't really what you want, it's what she wants here. So you just need to back off a tad. No, actually a lot. Because even when they sat down the next day and they were, I don't know, they were talking, they brought up their intimate lives and when they were going to consummate. Basically, y'all should wait because, you know, that's when I guess the marriage is like solidified in front of God, is when y'all consummate. And it's just like, that ain't none of your business. Like, I hate when other people try to jump in their intimate life. Ooh, I know production probably pokes and prods them and tells them to do that, but I feel like that is so intrusive, like beyond intrusive. And like, I wouldn't even be having that conversation with you personally, but it's just like, he just was all up in that Kool-Aid and didn't know the flavor. And at the end of the day, the Bible says that the marriage bed is undefiled. They're married. It's a little bit too late for you to be having these conversations with her husband. So when they got to the bedroom, Lindy was spiraling because she couldn't find her pajamas. Really like scrambling, looking through her suitcases, trying to find these pajamas that she thought she packed. Lindy, you probably just didn't pack them. It was giving very high strung, neurotic, and Miguel was a little bit iffy about that, and I would have been very iffy about it, because if you're gonna lose your mind over not finding pajamas, imagine when y'all have real problems. Lindy is one of those people who's an Energizer bunny. She talked too much, homegirl. You never shut up. And then we go to the honeymoons, and all I had to say about that is when they're sitting with everyone else, he brought up the fact that she rejected him in bed, and I didn't like that. I know they were talking about, you know, if people have consummated their marriage and everything, but it just seems like this is a theme with him. Like, even watching next episode, I'm just like, homeboy, if the girl don't want to do it, she don't want to do it, and you gonna have to respect that, okay? But we'll get more into that next episode. Let's move on to Stasha and Nate. So we have Stasha, who is a boss, okay? She specializes in finance and investment properties. She has investment properties. You know, she loves her good power suit. I love pantsuits, y'all. When Lindy was a young girl, her parents wanted to move, so she emancipated herself and she decided to live with a teammate. And I don't know, I feel like there's more to that story. I wish we could have got a little bit more, because emancipating yourself, like, no shade, but you don't hear about black people doing that often. So I'm just like, is there more to that story? Like, what's going on? She feels like this is her last resort to have children. She's 37, and I just hate that. I hate that this is your last resort before you have children. Like, I almost rather you go adopt a child on your own than to go on Married at First Sight, and that's where that's how you want to pick the father to your children and your husband. Because, child, they don't have the best success rate. But anyway, when she sat down with her mother, she suggested a post-nup, and homegirl was like, duh, do you even know me, mother? So we already know she's about her business, right? Then we meet Nate, and I'm sorry, Nate is giving corny, goofy vibes from the jump. I'm so sorry. It's the braids, it's the rest of his style, it's the false bravado. Everything about him is screaming red flags, and honestly, I'm having flashbacks. I'm triggered because I know I've met his type before, and no, he ain't did nothing yet, but I ain't trusting him because I know his type. He's an entrepreneur, but in the past, he sold fake designer, and he almost got in trouble with the police. He said he got contacted by the police and was told to stop. So we already know you a scammer. We already know you got that scamming spirit in you. And now he does day trading and advertisements for a living. And y'all, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. That very well could be legit, but I just, in my mind, I'm just like, I don't know. At the very least, it seems like he's not on Stasha's level. Oh yeah, and then his behavior at the bachelor party was repulsive. The way he told the dancer to get on her knees, and I was disgusted by what he did. So that solidified for me. I'm not gonna like Nate. So I don't care if he ain't did nothing yet. It's gonna be more so of I told y'all so when he does do something. Cause trust me, he will. Okay, so we get to the wedding. I loved her entire look, from the hair to the dress. She just gorgeous. I loved her entire look. But I hated his entire look from head to toe. Hated it. And then you have a filled-in hairline with 3 braids on your wedding day and just have them loose in the back. Y'all, I was over it. Stasha and me clearly have 2 totally different tastes, because she was very much impressed by him and he was with her. And you know, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, when they first got next to each other, I'm like, they look a little bit too much alike. It was kind of throwing me off. And when I went on Twitter, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that felt like that, because they really did look like they could be siblings. They look a lot alike, and maybe that's why they're so attracted to each other, because y'all look so similar. I did not like that his friends and family wrote in his, you know, little explanation of who he is that he's a freak in the sheets. I don't know, that's a little bit too much, and it shows immaturity on your friend's part, and I'm just trying to figure out which friend put that in there. So they had good chemistry, and afterwards, when they were having their first conversation, they found out that they both work remotely, and they just gonna get tired of each other, because I don't feel like Nate be working for real. So I feel like they gonna be butting heads up in their house. And also, she said she keeps her house like really neat, like a museum, and Nate said that she was crazy, and it's like, is she crazy or are you nasty? I feel like that's gonna be another place where they bump heads. And he just kept talking about how skinny she was, how small her waist was. And that's, you know, that's fine to find your wife attractive, but the fact that he kept bringing it up, it's like, well, what if she gains weight? This is your wife. So like, if she gets pregnant and she, you know, gains weight, like, are you still going to be attracted to her, or is that going to turn you off? And he also said that he wanted somebody younger, but Pastor Cal convinced him to be open to someone older. And I'm like, She sees no red flags with him and has let her guard all the way down. And I'm worried for her, because she's just completely smitten by him, like completely. And, you know, she seems like someone who normally has her walls up, but she has her walls down with him. Then we meet the girl that is his friend, and I forgot to write her name down, but she was doing way too much for me. Like, she was talking about this man like they have been friends for years, ever since childhood, and she just met him last year. She's just going on and on about how much she cares about him, how great of a person he is, how they do game nights and they love to go hiking and do sunsets. And clearly that's his signature move, because the friends also mentioned that in the little blurb about him. So that was a huge red flag. I hope Stasha realized that. The girl just looks like she wishes it was her, and it was extremely uncomfortable, because he was barely making eye contact with her, and he didn't even introduce her. And it's like, girl, why are you getting so emotional? That's what Stasha even said it, like, why are you getting so emotional? Because she was giving her the side eye the entire time, like, oh no, we're gonna have to nip this in the bud. And I'm sorry, there's something extra going on between them, whether they've been friends with benefits, or maybe the girl liked him and he turned her down. Something is going on there, and he looking very suspicious as well. And Stasha looking like, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck up out of here. So set them boundaries, girl. So later on, when they get to the room, he asked about her insecurities, and I'm just hoping that he's not asking this so that he could use it against her later. But he said that his was that he felt misunderstood, and, you know, growing up, he lived overseas and he felt isolated because he didn't speak the language. And then when he moved back over here and he got around black kids, and they kept talking about mixed, light skin, dark skin, and he called the black kids savages. And I was just like, I wasn't feeling that, but they related to each other on their light skin biracial struggles. Okay, apparently he loved a good sob story, because when he sat down with her family the next day, he broke down and he got emotional about the fact that he's only met his mother once in his lifetime, and his father was doing it. It just seemed like the way he talked about the way his father parented him, that he dropped the ball and he just wasn't the best parent, but he was the only parent that was there, you know what I'm saying? And he did the best that he could. And a lot of times he would tell him to just suck it up, and he always wanted a family unit. But you know, he didn't have that growing up. And I ain't gonna lie, I did feel bad to a certain degree, because anybody that grew up without a parent, I can relate to it, because I grew up, you know, I knew who my father was, but he wasn't really in my life. So I could understand that. But at the same time, it just, something about it felt inauthentic. It just felt like he know how to, it felt like he knows how to cry on cue. And I'm sorry, I hate to be like that, but it just didn't feel genuine. And you could even look at her family, they were kind of like looking at him like, okay, like almost like they weren't buying it either. Like, and even later on when he talked to Stasha about it, it's almost like he told her to get brownie points. Like, yeah, I cried with your family. I don't know, y'all. Like, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize, but it felt rehearsed. It didn't feel genuine to me. So then they go on their honeymoon. By the way, I don't think I mentioned that their honeymoon is in Mexico. Okay, they have really nice accommodations or whatever. You know, he act like he ain't been nowhere. He jumped all in the little jacuzzi tub with his shoes on. Like, and then later on that night, they decide to conserve water and take a shower together. And I was so uncomfortable, because that camera was all up in that shower with them, and they was making out. And I'm like, do y'all have, I know y'all ain't got no clothes on. Like, why are we up in the shower with them? Like, Married at First Sight is getting really risque with all of these scenes and people in bed. Like, y'all could have ended this scene like 3 minutes ago and spared us, okay? Because we get it. They're feeling each other. We don't have to actually see it go down. Okay, let's move on to Mitch and Kristen. So let me start off by saying, I hate to be like this, but Kristen is giving desperate to get married. And I don't feel like it matter who they matched her up with. It wouldn't matter. She would try to make it work, because she wants to get married desperately. And I want her to work on whatever that is inside of her to make her like push for marriage. Not necessarily even for your person, but just the title of wife and wanting a husband, just to say you have one. Because that's what it's giving. I'm sorry. Because 4 years ago, she was engaged to a man living on someone else's couch. She bought her own engagement ring by paying off his credit card when it didn't work out. She emptied her savings for a destination wedding. And the side chick told her right before the wedding that he had been cheating on her for 6 months. Somebody that's been standing on the couch and cheating on her for 6 months. Girl, like that was a crazy situation, but it's kind of like you got yourself into it. What did you expect? Like, what type of husband would he have been? Like, he literally was with you so he would have a place to stay. And you were willing to supply that. That says a lot about Kristen to me. And then we get to Mitch. Mitch is entirely too picky for me. Why are you here? Why are you on Married at First Sight letting someone else choose your spouse? He's one of those, like, I don't understand why the pickiest people on earth decide to come on Married at First Sight and have someone else choose not a girlfriend, not a blind date, but your wife, someone that you supposedly want to be married to forever. And you know your standards are out of this world. Why are you here? He's a strict environmentalist. He basically described himself as a loudmouth, and he doesn't mind causing a scene at Starbucks. Very much giving Karen vibes. Like, what? Why are you proud of that? He also said that he has commitment issues and has never been in a committed relationship at 40 years old. And that is a huge red flag. He's 40 and this is the way that you want to get in your first committed relationship, is marrying somebody at first sight. And not to mention your behavior is showing why you've been single. So then we get to the wedding day. First of all, we see him with this band-aid. Y'all, this band-aid is the bane of my existence watching this. Like, I'm like kind of skeeved out watching it. It's like I'd much rather see whatever's going on underneath that band-aid than to see it on top of your bald head the entire time. Like, I hate it. 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 Now, that's all I would be so upset. Like, that's all we're going to be able to see in the wedding photos. Like, at least if you were to remove the band-aid, we could like Photoshop whatever you got going on. But I hated the band-aid. Before the wedding, there was a lady trimming his beard and he was snapping because he didn't like the fact that she cut off too much. And first of all, it didn't even look like she cut off that much. And second of all, I thought he was playing until he was dead serious. Like, I just couldn't believe he was going off the way he was over a beard. You would have thought the woman cut off his entire beard the way he was snapping. Like, you should be more upset about the band-aid on your head. And then he snapped on his brother because he couldn't tie a bow tie. But you can't tie a bow tie. You couldn't tie it. You didn't know how to tie it. Like, oh my God. So I understand people have nerves, but that was annoying the way he was acting like a diva the entire time. And then we have Kristen, who didn't tell her dad that she was getting married until the day of. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. That ain't right. That ain't cool. That's not fair. That's not like, I don't like when parents don't show up to, these married at first sight weddings, because I feel like that's selfish and you should support your child. But I think this is like even more so trash to wait until the day of. Like, you just tell your dad, wear something nice. Like, it was so trifling. Why would you ambush your daddy like that? He was you could tell it was real. He was completely caught off guard. And then look at what he had on. Like, he looked like he was going to a company picnic or something. I felt so bad for the dad because he was really like thrown off. At least rent him a tux or something. I just didn't like the way he did her daddy. How you a daddy's girl and you did your daddy like that? He was going with the flow. He was like, well, you tried the normal way, so why not? He was very chill. But I'm just like, if he is so chill, why would you spring this on him like that? I didn't like it, y'all. So we get to the wedding ceremony. Before Kristen could walk down the aisle, her mom walked down the aisle and took her seat. And the mama I ain't gonna lie, the mama looked good. The mama looked like her older sister. Like, the mama is bad. I ain't gonna lie. Mitch apparently loved what he saw. He might as well have been one of those cartoons that had their tongue shoot out of their mouth. Like, yowza, yowza, yowza. Like, when he saw her mom, like, it was so uncomfortable, because he even asked the officiant, is that my wife? That's not your wife. She ain't got on no white dress, and your wife would not be walking down the aisle with no shoulder bag on. Stop it. That's not your wife. So then we have Kristen come down the aisle, and basically she was running, dragging her daddy down the aisle. The way she came around that corner, like, calm down, simmer down, girl. He gonna be there when you get there. When she got there, she told him he looked good, but he didn't compliment her back. And I'm just like, oh, reel it in. Please stand up. Please stand up. She doing the same thing that Mindy from a few seasons ago, the one that married Zach. She's doing the same thing Mindy did at the altar. Oh, he is so fine. You can't do that with men, especially when you first meet them. It goes straight to their head, and they have a huge ego off of you. You cannot do that, y'all. He didn't even compliment her back either. I didn't like that. And really, she was doing the most the whole time, just coming in strong, like at the very end, oh, we kissing, and then when they, at the very end of the ceremony, grabbing his hand, it just feels like it didn't matter who it was, she was gonna react that way. Cause like, girl, you doing all of that and y'all don't have any chemistry, especially on his end. And he said that she's pretty, but she didn't blow me out of the water. Sir, I'm gonna need for you to go take a look in that mirror. That kills me when men like Mitch and Chris from a couple of seasons ago harp on the woman's looks and I'm not attracted and all that. Y'all need to take a look in the mirror, because he was harping on the fact that he wants her to look natural, like he wants to see her in sweats and no makeup. But like on her wedding day, like of course she's gonna be dolled up on her wedding day. Like, duh. What? Like, that didn't make any sense. And you're more attracted to the mama, and she's even more dolled up than her own daughter at her own wedding. Like, oh my goodness. And when he sat down with the mother, it was painfully obvious that he's 1,000% attracted to the mama more than Kristen. Like, when he was talking to her, he was all red. He was flustered. He could barely talk. But they ended up having a conversation about what he does for a living. He said he used to have a more successful job, financially successful job, but now he works as like a environmental activist, and he doesn't make as much money, but he's passionate about what he does. And the mama was concerned about that because she feels like he doesn't have any financial goals. So you would never be able to get the mama because you don't have enough money for her. Okay? You could never get the mama. You might as well give that dream up right now, okay? And settle on into Kristen, because she the one that overlooks finances, child. She dated somebody that was living on somebody's couch. So you might as well buckle up with Kristen because the mama ain't having it. Okay, so the night of their wedding, I just hated the fact that she is the one who cuddled him and she is the one that asked to kiss him on the wedding night. And it's just, oh, Kristen, stop it, stop. His family gave her the real. His family told her that he was basically a jerk. And you know, they disguised it as he's brutally honest and he says hurtful things. You could tell that him and his sister-in-law has gotten into it because she was the one spilling all his tea, talking about how bad he was, and they was not correcting her. So I'm like, oh, that was foreshadowing. The sister-in-law was trying to warn her though. I was here for it. I was like, go ahead and tell us a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So then they go on their honeymoon. All of the couples are sitting down and they're asking about first impressions when they first saw them at the altar, and he mentioned her mom again. He's obsessed. I think this is the first time he's like showed it in front of her, so it was a little bit awkward because she was like, yeah, my mom is bad, my mom is beautiful. Like, you're not gonna talk bad about your own mama, but it was just like, why are you bringing that up? It was so cringy. How else was she supposed to respond? And he barely mentioned Kristen. The only somewhat compliment we've gotten from him so far about Kristen is that he loves her assertiveness because he tends to go with the flow. But how do you tend to go with the flow when you say you cause a scene at Starbucks? Boy, bye. Oh my goodness, you have no self-awareness whatsoever. I see why you've been single your whole life. He claims that he likes her, but you just want to see that mama again. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Okay? Mitch can go. So now let's move on to Justin and Alexis. And I just have to say, before we get into it, she about to walk all over this man. She gonna steamroll all over this man. Like, Justin don't stand a chance. In theory, their personalities, like, she has a very strong dominant personality and he has a very, like, I hate to say this, but submissive, passive personality. He keeps bringing up the fact that he's a pleaser. You would think with that dynamic they would balance each other out, but because usually it's the woman that has his personality and it's the man that usually has hers, I just don't know how this is gonna work out, because she seemed like she needs somebody she seemed like she wants somebody just as dominant as her. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The main thing that we find out about Alexis is that, you know, she has like this tomboy nature. She has male friends and she likes to, you know, play football with them. Also, she's been proposed to 3 times and she will never let you forget it, child. That is a thing with her. She loves to tell that she has been engaged to 3 times. And I get it, girl. You are beautiful and, you know, any man would love to have you. It's almost like she's bragging about it. But really it throws me off because you've been proposed to 3 times by someone that you knew and you wouldn't want to marry them, but you would come on TV and marry a stranger. Like, it just makes me give you the side eye at the end of the day. Then we see Justin. Immediately, I want Justin to grow facial hair and I want him to tone up his body. Immediately. Okay? That's what it immediately what popped in my head. Like, he's one of those people that I think if he had like a nice goatee or a nice full beard, and maybe he can't grow facial hair, but I think he would look, it would add to his look. It really would. So when we meet him, he's very emotional and sensitive. He'll cry at the drop of a hat. But y'all remember Zach, who was married to Michaela? Yeah, he cried at the drop of a hat as well. And we saw how that turned out. So I'm not going to go, I'm not just going to assume that he's a good person because he's emotional. He said that women treat him like a piece of meat because he's 6'8", but that's not enough for me to believe that women treat you like a piece of meat. I don't believe that coming from you. I don't believe it. He's clearly trying to overcompensate from whatever insecurities. He talks like a naive, inexperienced, like, teenage boy. Like, he talks like he doesn't have any experience with women at all. I'm not saying he doesn't, but that's the way he talks. Like, he talks like all of whatever he learned about women and relationships came from TV and movies and stuff like that. Like, just the way he talks is so, he has a very romanticized version, immature, in a very immature lens of what he thinks marriage and relationships are. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. So then he tells us that he was engaged before, but his fiance left him right before the wedding, which is sad. He claims she wanted him to be more financially stable and like a sugar daddy. And I'm just like, I want to hear from the ex. Like, I want to know, ex, come out the woodwork and tell us your side. I would love to know what it is about him that made you like call off the wedding right before it happened, because something tells me there's a little bit more to that story. But then, you know, when he's telling his brother that he is doing Married at First Sight, the brother was totally against it. And honestly, every time before the wedding, when him and his brother would talk about it, they went heads up. Either Justin would start crying, or they was ready to nuck and buck and ready to fight. He just doesn't want him to get hurt, because he's been hurt before with that whole calling off of the wedding. And he knows in this situation, it's very likely that Justin could get hurt because of how like open he is and gung-ho he is for something like this, for love and having somebody, right? And he's being overprotective of Justin. And you might be right, but it's like, you just need to back down, because Justin is grown. Like, it's not like Justin is 20 years old doing this. Like, ain't he 30 or close to it? Like, let him make his own mistakes. And, you know, eventually he comes around. You could tell that his brother was coming from a genuine place, but I just feel like he was kind of overdoing it. You got to let him do him. So then we get to the wedding day, and beforehand, Alexis was crying like, Alexis was crying like she was at a funeral. And I get being nervous, and this is not the first bride to cry before her wedding, okay? So I'm not saying that you can't have nerves and cry. But if you're crying, like if you're dead serious and you're crying like that before your wedding, you probably most likely should not be getting married. She did say that her parents divorced, and they were happy when their parents divorced because they had such a volatile relationship. So maybe, you know, she's just scared of commitment. But I'm sorry, I don't want to judge her, but it just felt fake. It just didn't feel real. So her mom walks her down the aisle, and immediately Justin is enamored. He said that is exactly his type. And, you know, he's like basically hard eyes, you know, in heaven floating, right? He wasn't her type. He wasn't her type. And you could tell by her reaction, like, even though she was smiling and grinning, it was just like, And then we find out later it's because she swiped left on him. Or is it swipe right? I don't know, but he had reached out to her in her DMs before. We'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Even though she said in a confessional that she wasn't necessarily attracted to him, I respected the fact that she was open to the situation and open to, you know, developing attraction with him. You know, I give her that credit, because, you know, Miss I'm a good person, Alyssa, you know, didn't give Chris a chance at all. And that, you know, that was annoying and cringy, and why are you here? But I ain't gonna lie, the more that they drank, the more chemistry that they had, apparently, child, because they couldn't keep their hands off of each other. They couldn't stop looking in each other's eyes, hugging up on each other, kissing. Like, the more that night went on and the drinks were flowing, the more they was getting into each other. So he ended up telling her that he had been celibate for a year and a half, and she saw that as a red flag. And that makes me look at you as a red flag. Like, who looks at that as a red flag? Like, I don't know. It's giving toxic. But what's even worse than that is that, like, they were on the dance floor and he told her this in confidence, and she immediately shouted it over to her friends. Like, literally everybody heard. And immediately I was like, no, that's a huge red flag right there. Because if we're going to be married and I'm trusting you, you know, I'm telling you things in confidence just between us two, and you immediately shout it from the rooftops, I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to want to tell you nothing else. You can't hold water. Like, and honestly, that's one of my biggest turnoffs. Like, if you can't keep secrets, if you can't be private, we would not make a good match, because I'm a private person. I don't like to put all my business out there. And I only got more cringe from there, from Justin telling his friends what he was gonna do in the bedroom, from her friends talking about, well, what do you think he got in his pants? Like, that was beyond inappropriate, and I would have shut all of that down. I don't care if production wants you to talk about that with me. That's my husband. Why are you worried about what he got in his pants? But then we get to the part where the husband is like doing this little dance for the wife child, and he was just dancing and scooting, and he did this back bend that was so uncomfortable, y'all. Like, Justin, no, like, no, nothing about that was hot. Nothing about that was sexy. It was like I get you're dancing for your wife, and she was into it, but it was just like, ugh. Then after their reception and they're talking one-on-one, she talked about how he, you know, tried to holler at her on this date nap 4 months prior, and he didn't even remember. And I'm like, did you really not remember? But he might not. Maybe he's one of those men that be in women's DMs that jumps in all women's DMs and be talking to himself. Like, he gives me that. She basically ghosted him on Hinge, and then he ended up finding her on Instagram, and she ignored him there too, child. And it was like, ooh, so you really was not attracted to him. I would have felt some type of way, but Justin was fine with it. Like, he was like, well, I got you now. And then on their, when they were all in their hotel room, y'all, they showed us way too much. Okay, we did not need to see none of that. We never need to see Justin's bare chest ever again. I don't care if he's at the beach. I don't care if he's at the doctor getting a checkup. We never need to see that again. He has this bad habit of oversharing when he's like excited, if you know what I mean. We didn't need to know that either. We get it. She's a beautiful woman. She's voluptuous. Y'all, you know, in the bed together, barely clothed. We get that. That's implied. You don't have to tell us that. That's why I feel like Justin is inexperienced, and that's why I feel like, you know, he comes off as juvenile, because what grown man's like, why are you saying that? And if you gonna take your shirt off, tone it up, okay? So then the next day they meet with each other's family. So when she sat down with his mother, she told his mom that he was still celibate. Too much information. Y'all talk way too much for me. Then after she bragged about being proposed to 3 times for like the 50 millionth time, the friend asked her how she was going to feel when the marriage gets boring, because marriage is not always exciting. And, you know, Alexis claims that she's not going to run and she's fully committed. And I don't know, it was at this point where I kind of felt like Alexis is just going through the motions. I don't really feel like she cares for Justin in the way that she's portraying. I hate to say that, but I just don't believe it. Like, I really wasn't convinced at this point. I feel like she's going through the motions for the show. I really do. Another thing that showed me that is, look at how she acts on the after party. If you haven't seen her on after party, she's really hamming it up for the cameras. So then when he met with her family, he told her family that he's a pleaser and he will be just as sensitive as she is. When she start crying, he'll start crying, child. And they like, well, what you gonna do to advocate for yourself when you need something? Because they know Alexis, because they probably all just like Alexis, and they probably know that they will run straight over this man. So if you that sensitive, like, how are you gonna get anything out of this relationship? Because Alexis she ain't gonna just roll over. He claims that he's not gonna give in to her if she's not giving him what he needs, but I don't believe that. I believe he's gonna I feel like he got his nose wide open and she gonna get anything and everything she wants without having to give him anything at all. So they get on their honeymoon, child, and when they sit down with the other couples, once again she tells everybody and their mama that this man is celibate. She gotta make sure everybody is up to date on their intimate life, I guess, because she was like, if he's with it, then I'm with it, and let's get it. You know what I'm saying? So she was down. So it was at this point that I realized that he's the one holding it up. And it's like, that's how I knew he was inexperienced once again. It's like, you had all this to say about your wedding night, but you want to stay celibate. Why do they keep saying celibate, by the way? Why did they keep saying celibate? And the grammar police in my mind keeps wanting to correct them. But anyway, tell me which of these couples that y'all think are going to say yes on decision day and who y'all think is going to say no. Let me know how y'all are feeling about each of these couples and how they were matched, and just, you know, how the weddings went, the honeymoon's going. I would love to hear your opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.